Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. Time for another story from Stories Narrated. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up to support the channel. My son Tom 12 brother Soren Cherem cheated on his pregnant wife, 1F, with an old ex 30F. My sister-in-law caught messages with his ex on his phone. How do I continue my relationship with him? Background. We have two maternal aunts who have suffered psychological issues. One is a diagnosed bipolar schizophrenic. My brother has always been an angry kid, and as we grew up, he would also keep weird things a secret. Did he graduate college, or did he drop out? What does he do for his main income, etc.? My brother and sister-in-law have been together for 9, going on 10 years, and have been married for 1.5 years. They are about to have twin boys. My sister-in-law is 8 months pregnant. 4 months ago, I would have told you my brother and sister-in-law were in-game, the perfect married couple. Now it's off the rails. It all started, for me, when my sister-in-law announced they would have 2 baby showers, one at her mom's house and one at their house because both sides of the family are quite large. The shower at her mom's house was first, and I noticed my brother was really miserable. He's my older brother and is often, in my opinion, an ass. But that day it was something different. Maybe it was that my sister-in-law was also a bit miserable, but she's also pregnant with twins, so she can be whatever the hell she wants to be, and that's okay. But my brother's attitude was abnormal for such a happy occasion that I even mentioned it to my boyfriend when I got home, and my mom and I spoke quietly about it at the shower and said a silent prayer for my brother and sister-in-law's marriage/future. A few days later, my sister-in-law texted me, "Your brother is going through something. I think his bottled up past trauma with your parents is really getting to him as he's becoming a father. I want to support him, but he's completely shutting me out emotionally and physically. I would appreciate it if you could reach out. He needs people who love him. He's not himself. I would also appreciate it if you didn't mention that I sent you to check in. Not trying to spy, don't need a report back, just want him to have the support he needs." I replied, "Hey, I was thinking about checking in on him honestly, so I won't mention anything. I'm sorry you have to deal with him in his current state. There are definitely reasons why I don't want to be a parent myself, and my brother's having to face probably some of the same tough realities. Is he working today? What's his schedule, do you know?" She replied with his schedule and also told me, "I can only imagine the pain both you and your brother went through growing up. I didn't have that experience, and your brother keeps saying, because I didn't, we're too different. He planned a trip to Sedona during Mother's Day weekend to do ayahuasca. WTF, I think to myself. So I gave my brother a call, and I tried my darndest to have a heart-to-heart with him and feel out what's going on with him. I noticed he was refusing to use team-building language when talking about the future and the twins. No use of the word we or us when discussing raising the kids. For me, that was a huge red flag. The next big concern for me was when I asked him about the ayahuasca soul-searching journey he was embarking on out of the blue, he wouldn't answer any direct questions about it. Really weird. The whole discussion, he was very nonchalant about everything. It was kind of unnerving, especially when I could feel in my bones that something wasn't right with him in the moment. I let my sister-in-law know that I checked up on my brother, and I wasn't quite sure what to make of him. But he's a bit moody, and he is definitely stressed about the babies. My sister-in-law told me a few hours later, "Maybe it isn't about the babies, and he just doesn't love me anymore. He has been emotionally cheating on me with his ex Hannah, I think. I caught him texting with her since it came up on his phone in the car. I immediately called her. She recounted the last month or so of my brother being emotionally abusive to her, being very mean and spiteful, and him choosing out of the blue to start sleeping in the other bedroom. It seems like he is blaming everything on my sister-in-law, including being pregnant, and all the hormonal and emotional problems that come with that. Like they didn't spend a year doing IUI. It was an emotional conversation, and I was sick to my stomach afterward. I promised to be there for her and try my best to remind my brother how lucky he is in life to have her, and how wonderful their future was going to be if he sticks it out, because marriage is hard and love is a choice." 2 short weeks later, my brother and sister-in-law have their second baby shower. This is 1 week before Mother's Day, the weekend that my brother was going to AZ to do ayahuasca. All goes off without a hitch. I steal away a moment of my sister-in-law's time before the party kicks off to check in, and she said they had an emotional and physical connection the other day, and seemed to be hopefully taking a positive turn. Good. Fast forward to Mother's Day weekend. I wished my sister-in-law a happy Mother's Day and saw if my mom had heard from my brother. She said she had no, but oh well. My boyfriend and I continued to speculate on what my brother might actually be doing out in Arizona. The next day, Monday, my sister-in-law messaged me and said it's been 72 hours without any contact with my brother, and she was getting worried. Fuck. My stomach dropped again. I'm getting sick of feeling sick over my brother. I think to myself, maybe my brother also got the chronic depression from our father's side and took his life out in the desert. I know that'd be my plan if it were me and I was feeling some type of way. So I told my sister-in-law, who was in full panic mode, calling AZ police and hospitals, and the hotel in which my brother's spiritual journey launched from, to no avail. I told her my boyfriend and I would be over that afternoon to relax with her and cook dinner for her. We arrived and started talking about my brother and what she's been going through. We all started talking about the crappy itinerary he shared with her that looked like he typed it out himself. If it was a real spiritual journey, wouldn't it have been easier to print off the email confirmation or screenshot of the actual itinerary? My sister-in-law also brought up Hannah. Can't believe we're talking about this woman who 10 years ago dated my 19-year-old brother for a year and a half and broke up with him twice in that time. Oh, and also my brother was lying about his age to her the entire time. WTF. My sister-in-law told me that my brother has been talking to her, and he says it's not a big deal. It feels more like talking to an ex-wife, and it's nothing. He assures my sister-in-law that Hannah is now engaged and lives somewhere in the same state as them. My sister-in-law then says, I found his contacts synced with his laptop, and there are 2 phone numbers for a woman named Hannah. Okay, bet. So my boyfriend and I started looking up these numbers. I never met Hannah, but I knew some specifics. She and my brother met back in 2012, 2013-ish, and she lived down in SC. One of the numbers matched to Hannah F., who now lives in AZ and used to live in, you guessed it, SC, during the exact time frame that my brother met her. So he made up the entire ayahuasca journey just to get a phone-free weekend with this woman who is probably on the ego high of a lifetime, having stolen this married man away from his pregnant wife. Obviously, we're all upset. My sister-in-law is sobbing in my arms. I'm sobbing in her arms. It's a mess. My sister-in-law confronted my brother via text as he's on the plane ride home. Fast forward to now, almost a month later, and the jig is up and the news is out. Everyone in the entire family knows. While we're all very concerned that my brother is most likely going through his first manic bipolar episode, I'm still reeling from the fact that my brother, the man 14 months older than me, the cornerstone of my existence, is not the person I thought he was. I mean, I literally have a living will drafted up saying he is the executor of my estate and the person who can dictate my care if I'm unable to. Now, I don't know if I would trust him to watch a fridge run. I don't know what to make of anything. This is obviously a developing situation, and it's very upsetting. I think the most upsetting thing is that my brother spoke to one of his best friends, a friend of almost 15 years, I would say, and he didn't mention one thing about his marriage falling apart, or flying his ex-girlfriend out for the weekend with him, or flying back down to AZ again for another weekend with his ex-girlfriend. The only thing he mentioned was, oh yeah, my sister-in-law plans to get a C-section, and his poor friend had to learn the hard way after his wife spoke to my sister-in-law about C-sections. My brother's attitude through this whole ordeal has been that he's the victim because my sister-in-law never lets him have a say, and that her parents are overbearing. He has been robotic in all responses and isolating himself with his ex-girlfriend. If he just wanted out of the marriage, he could have had a conversation. He didn't have to go nuclear. If he really wasn't happy, why did they spend all that time on fertility? It makes no sense. Oh, and to add, apparently my brother is looking for engagement rings for Hannah. He is running up the joint credit card. Thankfully, my sister-in-law has moved her income and opened her own private accounts. My dad is convinced my brother is a no-good gold digger, but most of the family and friends think he is showing signs of bipolar disorder. The overspending on spontaneous flights to AZ makes me agree with that thinking. But my brother did make gold digger remarks when he started going on dates before he met his wife. Didn't think anything of it when their relationship lasted so long. The situation reached a boiling point last week. My sister-in-law received a call from their joint credit card company about suspicious transactions. My brother had apparently maxed out their credit card purchasing an expensive engagement ring. My sister-in-law, horrified, immediately contacted me, and we spent hours on the phone trying to figure out what to do next. My brother's erratic behavior was getting out of control, and now it was threatening their financial stability. Desperate for some clarity, I decided to confront my brother directly. I visited him unannounced and found him in the living room, casually browsing through what appeared to be a wedding planning website. I couldn't believe my eyes. I demanded to know what was going on, and for the first time, my brother broke down. He admitted he was planning to propose to Hannah and start a new life with her. He claimed he had found his true self and real happiness with her, and he believed that his marriage to my sister-in-law had been a mistake. I was furious. I asked him if he had considered the impact of his actions on his unborn children, his wife, and our family. He seemed detached, almost robotic, repeating that this was the best decision for everyone involved. I left his place feeling more confused and heartbroken than ever. A few days later, my brother called a family meeting. He announced his intentions to leave his wife and marry Hannah. The room was filled with shock, anger, and disbelief. My sister-in-law, holding back tears, asked him how he could abandon his responsibilities, especially with twins on the way. My brother coldly replied that he believed Hannah would be a better partner for him and that he had already set the divorce process in motion. The final straw came when my brother handed my sister-in-law the divorce papers. She looked at him with a mixture of sadness and resignation and signed them. The family was in turmoil. My mom was inconsolable, my dad was livid, and I was left questioning everything I knew about my brother. Now, as we try to pick up the pieces, my sister-in-law is focusing on her upcoming C-section and the arrival of the twins. She's moved in with her parents, who are providing much-needed support. I've promised to be there for her and the babies, but the pain of losing my brother to his delusions and erratic behavior is a wound that will take a long time to heal. In the midst of all this, I'm left grappling with how to continue my relationship with my brother. Do I support him, hoping he comes to his senses? Or do I distance myself to protect my own well-being? It's a difficult and heartbreaking decision, but one thing is certain. The brother I once knew is gone, replaced by someone I can barely recognize. As days turned into weeks, the situation only became more complicated. The emotional turmoil affected everyone in the family. My mother was particularly devastated, often waking up in the middle of the night crying and worrying about the future of her grandchildren. My father, usually a stoic man, had several outbursts of anger and frustration. He couldn't comprehend how his son could throw away everything he had worked so hard to build. My brother's behavior continued to spiral. He not only maxed out the credit card for the engagement ring, but also began withdrawing large sums of money from their savings account. My sister-in-law had to act quickly to secure her finances, transferring whatever funds she could to her own account and seeking legal advice on how to protect her assets. The lawyers advised her to file for a legal separation to prevent further financial damage. During this time, I tried to maintain a line of communication with my brother. I hoped that by staying connected, I could somehow bring him back to reality. Every conversation was strained. He talked endlessly about Hannah, their future together, and the new life he envisioned. He seemed to be living in a fantasy world, utterly disconnected from the consequences of his actions. One particularly distressing day, my sister-in-law called me in tears. She had found out that my brother had been planning a lavish wedding with Hannah, complete with a destination ceremony in Hawaii. Invitations had been sent out to a select few, including some of our mutual friends who were just as shocked as we were. It was as if my brother had completely erased his current life and started writing a new one without a second thought. The climax of this nightmare came when my sister-in-law went into early labor. The stress of the situation had taken a toll on her, and at 7.5 months pregnant, she was rushed to the hospital. I dropped everything and drove to the hospital, where I found her in the delivery room, surrounded by her family. My brother was nowhere to be found. Despite everything, my sister-in-law showed immense strength and brought 2 beautiful baby boys into the world. It was a bittersweet moment, filled with the joy of new life and the sorrow of a broken family. We tried reaching out to my brother to tell him about the birth of his sons, but he was unreachable. He had turned off his phone and disconnected from everyone who wasn't part of his new life with Hannah. It was heartbreaking to see my sister-in-law go through this alone, without the support of her husband. A week later, my brother reappeared, unapologetic and seemingly oblivious to the magnitude of what he had missed. He wanted to see the babies, but refused to acknowledge the pain and suffering he had caused. My sister-in-law allowed him to visit, hoping it might trigger some sense of responsibility or paternal instinct in him. But the visit was awkward and cold. My brother treated it like a mere formality, showing little genuine interest or affection for his newborn sons. After this, my sister-in-law decided she had to move forward with her life. She filed for divorce in full custody of the twins. It was a tough decision, but she knew it was the best way to protect herself and her children from further instability. She also began seeking therapy to help cope with the emotional trauma of the past few months. The family continued to reel from the shock of it all. I tried to be there for my sister-in-law as much as possible, helping with the babies and offering emotional support. My own relationship with my brother was in tatters. I couldn't reconcile the person he had become with the brother I had known all my life. In the weeks that followed, I reached out to mental health professionals, seeking advice on how to deal with someone who might be experiencing a bipolar episode. The consensus was clear: my brother needed professional help, but he had to be willing to accept it. We couldn't force him to get treatment, and any attempt to intervene might push him further away. Eventually, my brother's new relationship with Hannah began to show signs of strain. The initial excitement wore off and reality set in. Financial pressures, the fallout from his divorce, and the responsibilities he had tried to escape started creeping back into his life. He began reaching out to me more frequently, though our conversations were still fraught with tension and unresolved issues. One day, my brother called me in a state of panic. Hannah had left him after a particularly heated argument, and he was now alone and overwhelmed. He admitted to feeling lost and confused, unsure of what had driven him to make such drastic decisions. It was the first time I saw a glimmer of the old him, buried beneath layers of delusion and impulsivity. I encouraged him to seek professional help and offered to support him through the process. Reluctantly, he agreed. Over the next few months, my brother began therapy and was eventually diagnosed with bipolar disorder. The diagnosis was a double-edged sword. It explained his erratic behavior, but it also meant a long road to stability and recovery. My brother's journey to wellness was slow and challenging. He struggled with the reality of his condition and the wreckage of his actions. Therapy helped him understand the impact of his behavior on his family and himself. Gradually, he began to make amends, though the road to forgiveness was long and fraught with difficulty. My sister-in-law, despite everything, showed remarkable resilience. She focused on raising her twins, building a stable and loving environment for them. She allowed my brother supervised visits, understanding the importance of a father's presence in their lives. But she maintained firm boundaries to protect herself and her children. As for me, my relationship with my brother evolved into something new. I learned to set boundaries while offering support, recognizing the delicate balance between helping and enabling. It was a painful lesson, but it taught me the importance of self-care and resilience in the face of familial turmoil. In the end, the ordeal brought to light the fragility of human relationships and the resilience of the human spirit. My brother's story is a testament to the complexities of mental health and the importance of understanding and compassion. It reminded me that while we cannot control the actions of others, we can choose how we respond to them, and sometimes that choice makes all the difference. This journey has been a profound test of love, loyalty, and forgiveness. It reshaped my understanding of family and mental health, leaving me with a deeper appreciation for the strength it takes to navigate such turbulent waters. The scars remain, but so does the hope for healing and reconciliation, however long it might take. As the weeks went by, the fallout from my brother's actions continued to reverberate through our family. My parents, initially shocked and devastated, tried to make sense of the chaos. They were torn between supporting my sister-in-law and grandchildren and trying to understand and help my brother. Family meetings became tense and emotionally charged, with old wounds and unresolved issues coming to the surface. During one such meeting, my mother broke down in tears, lamenting how the family seemed to be falling apart. My father, usually stoic, expressed his frustration and disappointment, struggling to reconcile the image of his son with the reality of his actions. These meetings, although painful, were necessary for us to start addressing the deeper issues that had plagued our family for years. My brother, meanwhile, was navigating his own turbulent path. The realization that Hannah had left him was a crushing blow, but it also served as a wake-up call. He began to see a psychiatrist regularly and was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. The diagnosis, while daunting, provided a framework for understanding his behavior and offered a path towards stability. He started on medication and began to see a therapist who specialized in cognitive behavioral therapy, helping him to develop healthier coping mechanisms. As he delved deeper into therapy, my brother began to confront the traumatic experiences of our childhood. He spoke about the anger he had carried for so long, the sense of inadequacy, and the fear of repeating the same mistakes our parents had made. These sessions were grueling, forcing him to face the darkest parts of himself, but they were also cathartic. For the first time in his life, he was learning to articulate his emotions and confront his demons. In parallel, my sister-in-law was grappling with her own healing process. She decided to seek therapy as well, finding solace in the support of a professional who helped her navigate the complexities of betrayal and her new role as a single mother. Her sessions focused on rebuilding her self-esteem, managing her anxiety, and finding strength in her independence. She also joined a support group for women who had experienced infidelity, where she found camaraderie and understanding among those who had walked a similar path. During this period, my sister-in-law decided to take legal action to protect herself and her children. She met with a family lawyer to discuss the separation and how to ensure financial and custodial arrangements that prioritize the well-being of the twins. My brother, aware of the consequences of his actions, agreed to a fair settlement. He wanted to make amends, understanding that this was one small step towards earning back the trust he had shattered. As the legal proceedings moved forward, my brother took another significant step. He enrolled in a fatherhood program designed to help men become better parents. The program offered workshops on child development, positive discipline, and co-parenting strategies. He was committed to learning how to be a supportive and loving father, despite the circumstances. The sessions provided him with practical tools, and more importantly, a sense of hope that he could still be a positive influence in his children's lives. Despite these efforts, the road to reconciliation with his family was fraught with challenges. My sister-in-law, although appreciative of his attempts to change, maintained a cautious distance. She needed time to heal and rebuild her trust. Their interactions were polite but guarded, focused primarily on the logistics of co-parenting. It was a delicate balance, navigating the new dynamics of their relationship while prioritizing the needs of the twins. Meanwhile, my own relationship with my brother was evolving. We continued to have difficult conversations, confronting the hurt and disappointment while also exploring our shared history in the ways it had shaped us. These discussions were not easy, often bringing up painful memories and unresolved issues, but they were necessary for our healing. We began to understand each other on a deeper level, recognizing the scars we both carried and finding ways to support each other. And one day, my brother and I decided to visit our childhood home. It was a symbolic gesture, a way to confront the past and acknowledge the pain it held. As we walked through the old neighborhood, memories flooded back. We talked about the good times, the bad times, and everything in between. Standing in front of the house where we had grown up, we made a silent pact to move forward, to break the cycle of dysfunction that had haunted our family for generations. As the months turned into a year, my brother's efforts began to show tangible results. He had established a routine, balancing his work, therapy, and parenting responsibilities. His relationship with my sister-in-law, while still strained, was slowly improving. They were able to have civil conversations and even shared a few moments of genuine connection, reminiscing about the early days of their relationship and the dreams they once had. The twins were growing quickly, and their milestones became focal points for the family. My brother was present at their first steps, their first words, and their first day of preschool. These moments were bittersweet, reminders of what had been lost, but also of what could still be salvaged. My sister-in-law, seeing his consistent effort, began to soften, allowing him more involvement in the boys' lives. In a surprising turn of events, Hannah reached out to my brother. She had heard about his progress and wanted to apologize for her role in the chaos. Their conversation was brief but significant, providing a sense of closure for both of them. My brother realized that his infatuation with Hannah had been a symptom of his deeper issues, not the cause. This realization further solidified his commitment to healing and moving forward. One day, my sister-in-law invited my brother to join her and the boys for a day at the zoo. It was the first time they would spend an entire day together as a family since the separation. The day was filled with laughter, excitement, and a sense of normalcy that had been missing for so long. Watching my brother interact with his sons, seeing the joy on their faces, was a powerful reminder of the importance of family and the possibility of redemption. As the family continued to heal, new challenges arose. My brother's condition required ongoing management, and there were times when his mood swings resurfaced. However, with the support of his therapist, medication, and a strong network of friends and family, he was better equipped to handle these episodes. He had learned to recognize the warning signs and take proactive steps to prevent a full-blown relapse. My sister-in-law, on the other hand, faced the complexities of single parenthood. Balancing work, childcare, and her own personal growth was demanding, but she had built a strong support system around her. Friends, family, and fellow single parents rallied to her side, providing assistance and encouragement. She had also reconnected with her passion for photography, turning it into a small business that allowed her creative expression and financial independence. During this period, I found myself becoming more involved in both my brother's and sister-in-law's lives. I babysat the twins, attended therapy sessions with my brother, and offered a listening ear to my sister-in-law. These experiences deepened my understanding of their struggles and strengthened our bonds. It was a period of intense personal growth for all of us, as we learned to navigate the complexities of love, forgiveness, and family. One evening, as I was reflecting on the journey we had all been on, I received a call from my brother. He sounded excited and a bit nervous. He told me he had an idea for a family gathering, a way to bring everyone together and celebrate the progress we had made. He wanted to host a barbecue at his new apartment, inviting not just immediate family, but also close friends who had supported us through the tough times. The day of the barbecue arrived, and there was a palpable sense of anticipation in the air. My brother had gone all out, preparing a feast and setting up activities for the kids. The atmosphere was relaxed and joyful, a stark contrast to the tension that had marked our family gatherings in the past. As I looked around, I saw smiles, laughter, and a sense of unity that had been missing for so long. Towards the end of the evening, my brother gathered everyone together for a toast. He spoke about the journey we had all been on, the pain, the mistakes, and the lessons learned. He expressed his gratitude for the support and forgiveness he had received and made a heartfelt commitment to continue his path of healing and growth. There were tears, hugs, and a renewed sense of hope. In the weeks following the barbecue, life began to settle into a new normal. My brother continued his therapy and fatherhood classes, while my sister-in-law focused on her photography business and raising the twins. They had established a co-parenting routine that worked for both of them, and their interactions, while not devoid of tension, were increasingly collaborative and respectful. The family, too, had found a new equilibrium. My parents, once overwhelmed by grief and confusion, were now more supportive and understanding. They had sought counseling themselves, learning to cope with their emotions and how to better support their children. Family gatherings, once a source of anxiety, became occasions of genuine connection and joy. As the years went by, my brother's dedication to his recovery and his role as a father never wavered. He remained committed to his therapy, continued his involvement in the fatherhood program, and even started mentoring other men who were struggling with similar issues. His transformation was nothing short of remarkable, a testament to the power of resilience and the human capacity for change. My sister-in-law, too, found new strength and independence. Her photography business flourished, allowing her to provide for her children and pursue her passion. She also found love again, meeting someone who treated her with the respect and kindness she deserved. This new relationship was a source of happiness for her and the twins, adding another layer of stability to their lives. As for me, I continued to be a supportive presence in both my brothers' and sister-in-law's lives. The journey we had been on together had profoundly changed me, teaching me about the complexities of forgiveness, the importance of mental health, and the enduring strength of family bonds. I had found my own path, pursuing a career in social work, driven by the desire to help others navigate their struggles and find their way to healing. One summer, we decided to take another family trip, this time to a beach house. The trip was a celebration of how far we had come, a testament to the power of love, forgiveness, and resilience. As we walked along the shore, watching the waves crash against the sand, there was a sense of peace and closure. We had faced the storm, weathered it, and emerged stronger and more united. In the end, the story of our family was one of redemption and transformation. It was a journey marked by pain and mistakes, but also by love, forgiveness, and the unwavering belief in the possibility of change. We had all grown in ways we could never have imagined, finding strength in our vulnerability and hope in our darkest moments. The engagement rings, once symbols of betrayal and broken dreams, had been returned and replaced with new symbols of commitment and love. My brother, now a devoted father and a mentor to others, had found his way back to himself and his family. My sister-in-law, a strong and independent woman, had rebuilt her life and found new love and happiness. And I, having walked this journey with them, had found my own path, driven by the desire to help others find theirs. The journey was far from over, but we faced the future with hope and determination, knowing that we had each other and the strength to overcome whatever challenges lay ahead. Our story was a testament to the power of family, the possibility of redemption, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. What do you think of this story? Please leave us a comment with your thoughts, and thanks for watching.